Today's podcast is presented by PODGO. PODGO is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from PODGO. We recently joined as a member and you can too. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. Don't forget to add the 2-on-1 podcast in the How Did You Hear About PODGO section of your application. Now get ready for the rest of the episode.
I like this. It helps us get warmed up a bit. We should do this more often.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to get the mic.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I get this. And then after that, I have to stop spending because, like,
you spent all the money on your Lego.
Yeah, no.
Because Adam forced us to get Lego.
I did no such thing.
All
right.
It's okay.
Let's get going, eh?
Okay, whenever you're ready, it's recording. Just
all right.
3, 2, 1. You know how it is.
3, 2, 1. John Chayka is a quitter. Guys, we're back.
Oh,
starting the show off with an allegation.
Yeah. It wasn't really an allegation. It's actually a bit of a quote. Because somehow for a third straight episode, I know hockey is back. That's a pretty big deal. We'll get to that a little later on in the show. But again, we're here talking about the Arizona Coyotes.
This has to be a record.
Well, probably.
Yeah, the Coyotes coverage, I'm surprised how much we've talked about it.
I mean, it's always, the negative stuff is always kind of more, newsworthy stuff. Yeah. And when you have, and even more so when a general manager gets fired, it didn't really happen that often. Jason Bosco.
Was he fired, though?
Was he forced out?
Way out. Should I say, when a general manager departs from an organization, it's always a big deal. Because like Bergevin's been around in Montreal for 8 years. Yeah. Bowman in Chicago. David Poyle's been in Nashville for what feels like my entire lifetime.
Jarmo Kekalainen's been in Columbus for a while, I think.
He's done an excellent job.
Yeah,
he's all right. He's signed some bad contracts, but John Chayka,
he knows how to draft.
I guess.
I mean, not in the first round. Like, it's like Steve Yzerman on the Lightning. He knows how to draft after the first round, not in the first round.
Well, Pierre-Luc Dubois, he made that call. He looks Puljujarvi pass looks better.
Just Kirby Reichel, I don't know.
Yeah.
Leafs and Habs legend.
I was going to say that. Good. Yes. I'm happy you brought up Habs legend as well because we don't talk about that a whole lot.
Do you remember the trade he was in, though? We've talked about it before.
Was it the Plekanec deal?
Yeah, it was.
It was Valiev, a second that turned into
Jacob Olofsson.
Jacob Olofsson, not the other one. And all right, Reichel, who
for Plekanec and Kyle Braun? Kyle Braun.
Yeah.
It was someone.
Yeah,
it might have been. And then, do you know what happened to Rinat Valiev?
He was traded to Calgary.
Yeah.
For, what? His name's not coming to me right now.
Brett Kulak.
Brett Kulak.
Oh, there it is.
That's a trade tree for you. Thomas Plekanec.
We should do a trade tree one day. It'd be fun.
Yeah, we should. But
like, we don't want to take it from Steve. We'll call it a
tree trade.
Acquisition plant.
Stop it. The root of the tree that is
acquisition bush or something. I don't know.
Guys.
We're getting desperate with names here.
Yeah.
No, I thought we normally have this thing of long exuberant names, like the 201 podcast show of excellence, prestige, and accomplishment. We can work on that, though. But we should probably get to the opening topic again. John Chayka, a few hours after last week's show ended. As you know, it was during the show, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he was fired during the show. Steve Sullivan was...
And we just kind of went through it because we already talked about the Coyotes. Sorry.
Yeah.
So during last week's episode, we get to talk about it a bit more here since there are some details. John Chayka resigned / terminated his own contract.
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot here. So should I read for you guys John Chayka's statement?
Yeah. Let's start with John Chayka's statement.
Yeah. So this is his little statement here. The past 4 years have been the most enjoyable of my life in Arizona. I became a husband, a father, while working as hard as possible to make the Arizona Coyotes a Stanley Cup contender. I love our players, coaches, staff, and fans, and I very much wish I could be with the team in Edmonton. Sadly, the situation created by ownership made that an impossibility. That's all I intend to say on the matter for now. A fuller, more detailed explanation may be necessary in the near future. Until then, I wish the Coyotes good luck in Edmonton and thank every member of our pack for the support shown to Catherine, our daughter, and myself over the years. I'm guessing Catherine's his wife.
Yeah.
Also, I want to congratulate Steve Sullivan as he steps into a new role. We worked side by side for years. He is a great person and a terrific hockey mind. Now, before I throw this over to you guys, there was a little thing from Craig Morgan, who has been really on this whole Chayka situation, saying from an NHL source that John Chayka is a liar and a quitter.
I thought that was the owner who said that.
All I saw from Morgan was that he said from a league source.
Oh, okay.
I want to be careful. And now, Elliot Friedman on 31 Thoughts did say apparently there is some group, like the same guys who are involved in like buying the Mets or whatever. Mm-hmm. And this opportunity that we talked about, this job offer that Chayka was approached for, and the Coyotes, this is the key part, gave permission to this organization to talk to Chayka about, includes a sort of analytics, type number situation or office that he would head up. So from John Chayka's point of view, guys, that statement, I think we all know, because of management, that's an impossibility, is a big red flag, Alex.
It's a very tricky situation because what it seems like is happening, and I'm not sure if you guys listened to Hockey Central. I think it was yesterday. They had Brian Burke on talking about if he was given permission, there should be a paper trail. If his mentality is if when he was doing looking for a coach and he wanted to get permission, there's a paper trail, right? And it doesn't seem like there's a paper trail here or any type of anything really. It seems like there's just a whole lot of confusion. Now, my understanding of the situation is last year, this group, someone approached the Coyotes, and I believe this would have been the previous owner, and asked to speak to Chayka, and they were declined, right? That was my understanding. And a group again came to Chayka this time and said, or came to the Coyotes or to Alex Marullo and said, can we talk to Chayka? And this is where the confusion gets. If you look at the opportunity, I think it's a really good opportunity for Chayka.
Oh, yeah.
Not only is it baseball, we're talking hockey, so the New Jersey Devils. We're talking basketball with the Philadelphia 76ers. We're talking about potentially baseball with the New York Mets, English soccer with Crystal Palace. They own a minority. They have a minority piece of this Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Like we're talking about multiple sports, and for John Chayka, who's analytically inclined, if that's how we're going to put it, that would be a really good opportunity for him to grow. Now, whether he's a hockey guy or he's not a hockey guy is up for debate, but I don't know if that's the right debate we should be having.
I think you're referencing something I may have said before the show started about saying that I might have said that it appears to me that Chayka is very much a sports person and not a hockey person first. There's nothing wrong with that.
I wasn't taking a jab. All I'm doing, like, you're not the first person I heard say that, and I know you're kind of making a joke of it, but I know there's people who are being serious about it being whether he's a hockey guy or not. But that's not the debate that fans should be having. It's a matter of, was he given permission? if he was, there's no issue here. If he was not given permission, then there's an issue. There's potentially an issue with Chayka, and there's most definitely an issue with ownership of whoever that was. Now, we're all suspecting it was the Devils. So that ownership group, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Daniel, I want to ask you because not often do we have a show where you don't mention Barrett Hayton. Before we go to ownership here, I want to focus on John Chayka and what he's done for the Coyotes because a lot's been made over the last few days. Filipovich made a joke of, how do analytics make someone pick Barrett Hayton over Quentin Hughes? Or you can make that debate with Montreal with Jesperi Kotkaniemi. You can maybe even make the argument for the Sens picking Brady Tkachuk. And then, of course, the Dylan Strome pick turned into a complete disaster. What do you think you're going to remember about John Chayka's time as GM of the Coyotes as he seems to be going into the sunset of the hockey world?
Oh,
Maybe.
Interesting question. Yeah, I think that there is going to be a legacy of what I think you look at what the Coyotes were before him and what they were able to become. I know, maybe it was analytics driven or not, but when we look back on, I guess, the Shane Doan golden years where it was like that rag and tag team that, beat the Blackhawks in 2012 and then they go to the conference finals against the LA Kings, who had on the team? Like Shane Doan, Radim Rabrada, Ray Whitney. These are the guys that they were in their top six, guys who were kind of on the other side of 30 by that point. But, these are the guys that you're using as your offensive weapons. And, they already had developing Oliver Ekman-Larsson there, but there wasn't really much to work with, the Mike Smith at his prime, you'll say. He was actually quite a bit older by that point, but you had that bright spot. But then you shift over where I saw John Chayka as a thing where the Coyotes wanted to say, we wanted to do something different. We wanted to get a young guy in there, and we wanted to be more innovative. We didn't want to use the old formulas that teams had because, to be honest, they didn't have that leverage or that opportunity to make these kind of things. They didn't have, I guess, I don't like using sort of the clout to kind of make those huge free agent signings. I was actually reading it today where one of their bigger signings in the past few years was Mike Ribeiro for 4 years or something like that. And looking at it now where he was able to bring, Kessel and Hall, no matter how they kind of underdeveloped, he was still able to bring them in to the fold and try to make something. I think there were a lot of pieces where I kind of felt that the development needed more time. Really, that Clayton Keller's contract. I'm just thinking about when it hits next year, how is that going to look? Is this going to be another 47-point player? Christian Dvorak, is he really worth almost $5 million a year? This guy has never hit 40 points.
Well, see, it's very interesting because, you now look that John Chayka, and I'll read the owner's statement in a second here. I think it was Elliot Friedman on 31 Thoughts, the podcast, mentioned that Chayka was a big part in bringing the Gutierrez's in to buy the Coyotes, and then all of a sudden he's now gone. He has just signed young Clayton Keller to the deal you were just talking about. He brought in Phil Kessel. He made the Taylor Hall deal. All these big moves that don't look like, the playoffs will tell. Is there a good chance if they can even beat Nashville, will they get all the way down, all the way to the end of the Western Conference to a cup final? Probably not. It doesn't really feel like Chayka has left the Yotes in the best position, or am I being a bit too harsh there? Because we did debate this last week, especially Mike and yourself, Alex.
Yeah, I think it depends. It depends on how you look at it in a way. I think as a team, they're very dependent on Darcy Kemper or Antti Ranta to stand on their head.
Mm-hmm.
I think you look at the pieces individually, they're good, but when they put them together, it doesn't seem to be working well. I think there's I was reading, I think there's multiple tradable assets on that team. If you're looking to really break down and start up again, I think there are players who you can who would be out there and get something on the market. Would you get full price? Probably not. You're probably going to get pennies on the dollar for a couple players, but what does Steve Sullivan, who's now interim GM, want to do? I don't know, Adam, if you want to get into the whole the GM situation now, or if you want to read the owner statement first.
Yeah. Well, I'll read the owner statement first, and also if we want to take a second, because the only other thing we have to talk about today, maybe some baseball stuff, but also then the Montreal-Toronto
and the other
embarrassment from last night.
Yeah.
So this is the statement from the Yotes themselves.
Okay.
The Arizona Coyotes issued the following statement today regarding John Chayka. This was on Sunday, by the way. Quote, John Chayka has quit as the general manager and president of hockey operations of the Arizona Coyotes. It's the first part of it. He quit. The first thing they were telling their fans, John Chayka has quit. I'll continue, though. The club is disappointed in his actions and his timing as the Coyotes prepare to enter the NHL's hub city of Edmonton, where the team will begin postseason play for the first time since 2012. Chayka has chosen to quit on a strong and competitive team, a dictated staff.
Okay.
Oh, boy. And the Arizona Coyotes fans. The greatest fans in the NHL.
All 10 of them. Let's go.
All right. The club is moving forward and has named Steve Sullivan as interim GM. He has the full support of the entire organization, including team ownership, executive leadership, players, and coaches. The club will have no further comment on the matter as the club remains focused on the opportunity to pursue the Stanley Cup. Guys, I don't know if you know this, but John Chayka quit. Mm-hmm. He quit. Listen.
He quit on the best fans in the world. All 15 to 20 of them.
He quit on Phil. How did he do that?
I know, like, the viewership of this show is not. I think it's gone up, definitely.
It's increasing.
It definitely has.
Yeah, which is awesome. So I don't know how many Coyotes fans we have there. But
Alex, is Chase a Coyotes fan?
No.
Okay.
I was going to bring him up, but he's not. If you are a Coyotes fan, I want you to listen very carefully. Or if you want to look me in the eyes as I talk to you, go check out the YouTube channel for a visual experience of the podcast. I'm looking right into my Max webcam. John Chayka quit on you. If Phil Castle is listening to this show, Phil, he quit on you. He quit on Shane Doan. I'm sure he's still on. Paul Bissonnette, he quit on him. He quit on the best fans in the NHL. Okay, but enough about ripping them. Let me ask you this, Daniel. What's your biggest takeaway from that statement, except for the fact that John Chayka quit on all of us?
It was kind of like they cleaned their hands of him in a way, because we already knew about that. It's like, is that a whole speculation? Like, did he or did he not skip the team dinner with Taylor Hall? I thought
he wasn't invited.
Yeah, that's what they said. Like, there's speculation he wasn't invited, and then there was another report that apparently he just didn't go.
Oh, well, that'd be not.
I don't know. The reliable sources that I get my information from, which I'll be very clear are four people in CJ, Elliott, Darren Dreger, and Bob McKenzie. Am I missing anyone?
Pierre LeBrun.
Okay,
James
5.
Brittle? No?
Who?
James Brittle for my Leaf stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Those guys all reported that if I went back, I'd have to double check, but I'm 99% sure that he was not invited to the meeting.
Oh, man. That's like...
But at that point, I'd have to imagine they all knew he was all but out. This was this was over. We've been talking about this for 2 to 3 weeks, and then a couple months ago, we're talking about the Coyotes or the league pushing Peter Chiarelli into the Coyotes.
Yeah, that's when I
don't
read
know
that, I thought it was a meme.
I don't know if you want to get into that now or we'll save it.
I thought that was a meme when I first saw that report.
Well, then yeah, we'll go there because it seems to be the Coyotes' plans now. Sullivan, will he be the future GM? Well, if the league have its way, I remember a few months ago there was word about them wanting Chiarelli to come in and fix things there.
I believe they wanted the rumors were that they wanted him to be part of the organization. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I think when we talked about it, we assumed that John Chayka would still be general manager, but Peter Chiarelli would be president of
Yes.
hockey operations.
And now, and this is even from 31 Thoughts,
Yeah.
Elliot, now that Bob's semi-retired, the most trusted source of info in hockey is now even saying that it looks like they even more want Chiarelli. And now the door's open. And it would be such an NHL move. You've got one of the 100 hockey men here.
I know.
I can't wait. I seriously, I cannot wait for Oliver Ekman-Larsson to get dealt. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It would be a joke. It would be. Sorry, Daniel. I'm just. I'll
No
be
worry, no
real
worry.
quick. It would be an utter travesty if the NHL pushed the Coyotes to make Peter Chiarelli their general manager.
I have a theory, guys. Okay? So, obviously, Gary can't move the Yotes because he doesn't want them. He doesn't want it to look bad on him. So, this is his plan. He's going to get the guy who nearly made Connor McDavid requested. This is pure speculation. He got the Oilers to a point where we all thought that maybe McDavid was going to ask for a trade. Okay? So, maybe his plan, and him and Daly's plan, is to get Chiarelli, throw him to the Coyotes in Arizona, and make it even worse. So it's to the point where Gary can say, "I didn't ruin it. It wasn't a bad idea," and then that's how the Coyotes end up becoming the Houston Coyotes.
Adam, I love
speculation.
I love that conspiracy theory, but here's the issue I have. How much worse can it actually get? They barely fill a stadium. How much worse, or at what point does Gary say, man, like they're the team when was the last time we heard the Arizona Coyotes make money? Never. I don't think
No?
ever.
I thought they made 2012.
Maybe, but it just feels like we've constantly heard that the big teams in the NHL, which are, I mean, list them again: Toronto, Montreal, New York, LA, and Boston.
Chicago.
And Chicago, because they're good now, are bankrolling the bottom teams in the league.
Yes.
Yeah.
How much worse does it have to get? It's just for Gary to come out and say, okay, we get it. They suck. They don't make any money. Let's move them to a team. Let's move them to a city, because we all know they're not going to move them to Quebec City. And I understand there's reasons behind it. I've heard Brian Burke talk about it. I've heard multiple other people talk about it.
Yeah.
They're going to move them to Houston.
Yeah. Or that'd be the most.
How much
fair
worse?
guess.
Yeah, that'd be our best guess. How much worse does it have to get?
I don't know how much worse.
The players don't show up
Yeah.
to a game.
I mean,
They protest to be traded. I don't know. Something like they hold out like every single person on the roster. That's how I think, like, okay, yeah, we definitely got to move this team.
It has to be, like, Arizona's not terrible to live. I'm not familiar with the geography, but there are certain spots in Arizona, isn't it, like, hipster country?
I just remember, like, Chase mentioned how, like, you just have so many other options when it comes to watching sports.
See, this is interesting. The biggest failure for the Coyotes for me, and it was something Chase mentioned, that they had, and this can be blamed on everyone, including Chayka, since he was president of Hockey Ops, is that it sounded like they were not doing enough to reach out to the community and try and help grow the game.
Right.
What can you do in Arizona? Try, and it doesn't sound like they've been doing that.
That's what I kind of thought, like, they were trying to do this, I guess, year and a half where they kept getting these big contracts and locking up these guys. Because I think John Chayka did have a vision. I don't know. But, like, I think he had a vision of what he wanted the team to kind of look like. But he was kind of... Yeah, and he was, like, pressured by owners to be like, yeah, but we got to sell tickets. We got to get a face there. Be a cap team. Get Phil Kessel, get Taylor Hall. Do what you can, and, let's go with the goalies. And then Darcy Kuemper gets injured.
I look at the last team to get moved was the Atlanta Thrashers, who were also losing money and didn't have anyone in the stands. And I look at the Arizona Coyotes and why they haven't been moved, and I can't give you a reason. I can't give you a reason because they're in the same situation as Atlanta. The difference, living in Arizona is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like Atlanta's not the nicest place to live. Like compared to Arizona,
Yeah.
Arizona is above Atlanta from all I could look at.
I remember when the Thrashers were like the last 2 years, I guess, of them being there, and I remember like they traded Kovalchuk because he didn't want to be there anymore. They traded him to the Devils.
Yeah.
Um, then they kind of realized, we still want to have a competitive team. So like in the offseason, they got Dustin Byfuglien and Andrew Ladd from the Blackhawks, and they still tried to do those like it's similar to like kind of like I feel like that Kessel Hall kind of thing. Like let's we could technically tank it from here, but let's actually still get these kind of guys to try to keep the team here and try to field something competitive. It's like the same cycle I find.
It is. Like I look at Florida and I go, why is there a second team in Florida when they can't fill the stands?
Fellows, just a bit more on Chayka. This was from, James Wish. I can't even say his name. Wish from ESPN.
James Wyshynski.
Something's easy for me to say. He just had an article a bit more about the Chayka stuff. According to a source, Chayka came to Morello seeking permission to speak with the owner under the premise that it wasn't a job interview, making the argument that previous Coyotes owners would have let him have the conversation as it was intended to build a relationship with with owners in hockey and get market knowledge. Spoiler alert. Apparently, it ended up being a job interview. After it appears things remained status quo for Chayka and the Coyotes, he told Morello that he wanted to leave for an opportunity with the team, a job that would be a step up from NHL GM and a role overseeing aspects of other teams in the owner's portfolio, according to an NHL source. That team was, of course, New Jersey. We all know that. Who and then owns, of course, the 76ers, Crystal Palace FC. So apparently he lied about certain interview stuff. Oh my god, just a bit more stuff. Morello felt lied to. Just so you know, that's why I'm randomly reading something. There's some new stuff from Wyshynski. Doesn't look good on Chayka. Apparently, tried to I can't believe you would turn around and lie to your owner like that. That's a big red flag for me.
That is a big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's a very messy situation that I feel like we don't have all the facts to. That I feel like every time we read something new comes out, it just pieces the puzzle together. But then we're still left what the hell happened? Because John Chayka signed a 4-year extension.
Yeah.
I think last year, was it?
Yeah, because he has 3 more years on his contract. On the current one, yeah. And
it's a bad look on him. And my feeling, and I don't know if you guys would agree with this necessarily, I don't think he's going to get a job in the NHL again, and I think there's 2 reasons for that.
Computer boy.
I think number one, this looks really bad on him. If all this stuff is true, it looks really bad. And number 2 is because he's he's very pro analytics.
Another thing from Wyshynski's article. This is about the dinner. Yeah. As this was playing out, Chayka's role with the team was changing. He set up a meeting with Coyotes ownership for Hall to familiarize the player with new Arizona CEO Xavier Gutierrez. However, Chayka did not attend that dinner. So apparently he set it up, but he didn't actually show up to it. And there was no contract talks at that specific dinner. It was just everyone together, kind of familiar with it. I'll keep just kind of scrolling through this as we go here. If you guys any more on the Yotes, or do you want to talk baseball quickly?
No, I just quickly I think it's going to be difficult for him to get another job in the NHL. I think it doesn't help. This situation is a really big reason. It doesn't help that he is very analytically inclined. And let me just check something quickly. I don't think I know he was assistant GM, and from what I've been reading, it seems like a lot of people weren't too fond of his way of moving up the ladder in the NHL management.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, because I believe, let's see, he was part of an analytics company, and I think that's him and his sister.
Yeah, they created that with his friend.
And in 2016, he became the youngest general manager. And the only thing he did before that was serve as an assistant general manager for the Coyotes. So I think there's a lot of, I feel like behind the scenes, and this is obviously pure speculation from me, but a lot of people wouldn't be fond of that, because you look at how all the GMs have come up, and even someone as more analytically inclined like Kyle Dubas, he was a GM in Sault Ste. Marie. He was an assistant GM for a couple of years, and then he became general manager of the Leafs. So yes, it took a little bit, like maybe it wasn't as long of a process, but he did his job in multiple leagues and proved himself. Whereas Chayka, we're all just basing this off of his work at Stathletes, and then that time he spent as assistant general manager. So my interpretation would be there's just a little bit of backlash from the league as well, and I don't know how likely they will be to bring him back into the hockey general manager community.
Mm-hmm. So apparently Chayka also took himself out of the COVID testing for the team, which then will take him out of going to Edmonton, obviously. Mm-hmm. Now, the team considered this a material breach of his contract, although the NHL allowed any team official to leeway the leeway to opt out of traveling to the bubble. And this is something that was reported. How did we forget to mention this? So, of course, Chayka tendered his resignation on Friday, which the Coyotes announced in their statement. We all know that. Yep. The contract dispute between the sides is expected to be looked at, because the Coyotes went to – Daniel's gone, goddammit. Went to the league and was like, Gary Bettman, my boy, can you look at this? So he'll be having a look at this.
Just before we move on to baseball quickly when Daniel comes back, what do you think of them bringing in Steve Sullivan?
Oh, to be honest, I don't know much about the guy. I mean, how much of this is really just we need to put someone in place? Because did you need to name him right away? No, but I don't know if that's them trying to just stick it to John and be like, we got our guy. I mean, At least Chayka gave him the nod. And, I mean, they could have fired him as well. Like, I mean, you could have had a Chayka's guys bloodletting. It doesn't look like they've done that, luckily. But
right.
I mean, I would rather see this guy get a shot, because if it was the assistant that he kind of has Chayka's vision in mind, regardless what you want to say about Chayka, how he's doing this as a professional, everyone wants their team to win. So would you like to see another guy get a little shot here? And we joke about it, but I really don't think Peter Chiarelli, I don't want to say deserve. I don't think his work in Edmonton has earned him another shot as a general manager.
His work in Boston didn't earn him a shot.
No, it did not.
In Edmonton. So his work in Edmonton, no. I first glance, I was a little bit questionable about the pick, but then I actually sat down with it, and I'm like, okay, what is the one thing we continue to complain about, or something that I complain about, is that we never give new people a shot. Mm-hmm. Right? Kyle Dubas got hired, everyone complained. John Chayka got hired, everyone complained.
Yes.
Right? Like the guys who don't have actual NHL general manager experience, we find that we just complain about it. This guy is in the hockey community, like has been a part of the hockey community, and has had experience with an NHL team.
Mm-hmm. Right? Sorry. You good, Alex? Sorry?
Yeah.
Before we talk a little baseball here. Alex, do you want to ask Daniel what you just asked me about Sullivan?
Yeah, what do you think of the Steve Sullivan hire? I think he cut out again, but
Oh, I hope not.
I think he cut out again.
Oh no.
Okay, let's pause it and we'll come back.
All right.
Mm.
All right, lads, back after some technical difficulties. Alex wants to bring up some MLB NBA stuff. Before we do that, though, I just want to point out we started the show a little late because I wanted us together to finish watching what I thought was the end of the pet. I just realized my mic is not next to me.
I was gonna say.
I was like, okay.
Whoopsie daisy.
That's okay.
Jesus. So I just want to point out that I thought it was the end of the game because it was 4-0. It was the end of the second. It's now 5-0, 3 minutes, 38 seconds left in the third. Oh boy, the Panthers are bad. But Alex, I want to talk about some other sports quickly.
Yeah, I mean, let's the NBA. I mean, we can talk about the three bubble leagues. NBA, NHL, MLS so far have been. I mean, the NHL is quite new, but I seem to have been killing it lately. Mm-hmm. The NBA just announced for the second straight week they have had 0 positive COVID tests, and they are testing every day.
Lovely.
So, listen, the bubble seems to be working here, right? Other leagues are taking different approaches across the world. I mean, the MLB, they are in a, I don't know what word, tough boat, I guess. Like this morning, I was telling Daniel earlier that I got 2 straight notifications from the Score. One, that the Marlins outbreak has gone up to 18. So there's multiple players and a couple coaches. It's up to 16 players and 2 coaches now. This was confirmed by Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic. And and now the Philadelphia Phillies, who they just played, they reportedly received negative tests, but they do not want to play. Or they're not playing. They will not be playing.
So it's like you're saying that traveling city to city like nothing is wrong in the middle of a pandemic, especially in the States where everything is still going terribly, was a bad idea.
Yeah.
And it's the Miami Marlins of all places.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, the Miami Marlins. And now
where's Miami again, guys? Sorry,
I believe it's in Florida.
Yeah.
Really?
Some state. I'm not sure. It's messy, and now next the Phillies are supposed to play the Blue Jays on Saturday. I believe it's a double header, so now we're gonna have to see what happens there. And I think one of the next opponents for the Miami Marlins is supposed to be the Washington Nationals, and now they've all decided, the players have said, we do not want to play this game against Miami. So they are in for an absolute mess. I already said it last episode. I don't know how, as a league, you let one of your teams a week away, up until opening day, not have an actual place to play or a confirmed stadium. It's getting worse for them. And I was talking with someone last night about like the MLB and the NFL, because I believe the NFL is going to follow in some of the footsteps of the MLB. And I'm like, well, how do they compare to the likes of Formula One, the likes of Bundesliga, the likes of the Premier League? Because they are traveling, right? So what is it that like they're doing differently? And I guess one of the things is, okay, let's look at F1. They're in one country for a couple weeks, then they go to a different country for a couple weeks. So they're not constantly traveling. And I guess the same would go for Bundesliga and Premier League in terms of, the amount they're traveling it's not as big as traveling across the United States. But there must be doing something right because they're traveling.
I mean, you said it right there. It's the United States. There was a really good tweet. I wonder if I can find it quickly. It was like the kid's eye, and it was somebody tried to bring the argument of the state of the U.S.'s population number, and they did the math compared to, I think it was South Korea. And I want to see if I can find it really, really quickly here. Here it is.
For amount of COVID cases?
Yeah, so deaths from COVID-19, South Korea 297, the U.S. more than 140,000.
Yeah.
And then somebody tried to say South Korea's population 50 million, the U.S. is 360 million.
Yeah.
And then somebody goes back at this guy and says, well, if we go off your logic, we are 7.2 times bigger than South Korea. So mathematically, we should have 2,138 deaths. But we have at this time 148,000, which is 69. I'm not going to say it. More than we should have. I'm a high school student, and you're a grown man, and I understand numbers more than you. And at this time, I turned 50 likes. You have 36. I had ratioed you 4.1 times. Please enjoy math with me. That was a Twitter user, ANJREW_sucks, which is hilarious to me. It's the states is the biggest thing. They just haven't handled it well. And Daniel's gone again. God damn it. Would have liked to have gotten his point of view, but man.
Yeah.
The NFL. You said that they're planning on going around the same route, like they're not doing a bubble or anything. Another American league.
That's my understanding. And listen, surprisingly, the NHL looks good coming out of this.
Which is, we love the NHL, but the NHL
I love Gary
are hit or
Bettman.
miss.
I understand why people don't like Gary Bettman, but I am also of the understanding that Gary Bettman is working for the owners. So if anyone should be upset, if you should be upset, I think there's a lot of blame that could be placed on the owners more for Gary Bettman.
Right. I feel bad that we haven't had Daniel here to talk about baseball because he's a big baseball guy.
Okay, let's pause it again.
We'll be back. All right, back. Okay, sweet, guys. Before we go on to the hockey, we go back to hockey, sorry. Daniel, you're the baseball guy, so your whole take on this massive testing in baseball, and I guess how you want to – you do your thing. You do what you want here.
Okay, honestly, I don't know. It's just pure –
Oh, no, Ginny,
no.
Keep that in. We'll be back in a minute. Keep that in. Okay, we're back. Technical difficulties, some more. Daniel, tell us, baseball, sickness, COVID, big mess in the U.S. Go.
Yes. Ignorance, I think. This is something where, it's already worked with these hub cities. You don't want to be traveling. You don't want, of all places, the Miami Marlins to be traveling around the U.S., affecting these players. At first it's just they were a few cases, but now it's like that huge outbreak. 18 people, Alex said that, it's just something there. Now I'm thinking, they played the Phillies, and I guess the regional sentiment I have now, it's stay away from our Blue Jays.
Right. And then you work backwards, you find who have the Marlins played for the last 14 days, and you have to work backwards from there because we don't know when they got it. They could have got it 14 days ago. They could have got it yesterday, but you have to work backwards. Before we move on, Daniel did it just the perfect headline. It reminded me of one of the very first things in our first year class that we did. I don't know if you guys did this, but in my lab, we had to write a one-word headline.
Yeah.
And I think it was about something about us coming to journalism school. And I remember it was how the hell am I supposed to write a one-word headline? And Daniel did it perfectly.
Oh, thank you.
I won't lie. I have Minnesota, Colorado in the background, and Nathan McKinnon just had a wicked goal. It was simple, wicked shot. Oh, he's so good. Just give him the heart already. Oh, my God.
I think before we move on, the one thing I'd want to just say right now with baseball is it's a lot of players already, like David Price of the LA Dodgers just came out saying, it's they don't really care about us. He was one of, it was pretty monumental, even at his age, I still consider him an all-star, someone who is at that level saying, I'm opting out because you guys, it's the owners don't care. They're let's put a product on the field, not try to do this effort that the other leagues did with the hub cities in North America and just, swing for the fences and see what happens. See what sticks to the wall and see, okay, that was a good enough approach.
And that was Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
I was just gonna say maybe they shouldn't have spent 2 months fighting over a CBA, and maybe just stick to your return to play plan.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know what, man, there was and I believe, it was Price and as you were saying, a bunch of guys who even back then were saying, we're hearing about all this play stuff, but there's no actual safety discussion in a pandemic.
The funny the funny thing about it's not funny at all, actually. It's just a coincidence. The situation we're in now is with the MLB is so similar to the situation that we were in back in March, on March 10th or 11th, where we find out Rudy Gobert tests positive, Donovan Mitchell tests positive, and then all these NBA players test positive and the league shuts down.
Mm-hmm. Man, so we'll go to hockey, I guess, now. Finally.
Let's get back
there was the exhibition game where the Toronto Maple Leafs won. The Habs went on.
Yeah, we'll save that till the end. There was a couple other games yesterday.
Yeah, but who cares?
Can we just say quickly?
Did you guys stay up for the Edmonton game?
I didn't.
I tried.
Yeah.
I watched the highlights this morning. Connor McDavid is a legitimate god
actually,
on ice.
Before we get to on ice stuff in its entirety.
Okay.
First of all, that first video package from Sportsnet to start the night.
Yeah, Stephen Brunt.
I think I forgot who said it. I think it may have been Andrew Berkshire said that Stephen Brunt's the king of video essays.
Yeah.
It was so good, man.
It's very good.
I mentioned to the Oilers for the Colby Cave tribute.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Also, shout out to the players and teams for making an effort for standing side by side. The whole thing of unity. That's a really good little, a good touch. What I think they need to stop doing is showing the highlight, and the first thing you show is Jack Johnson and Claude Giroux laughing. Because I'm not saying they're laughing at the idea, but I'm saying it's a bit weird when you're like, we're here in solidarity, and Giroux and Jack Johnson are corpsing. It's like, it looks a bit weird, but still, you appreciate the effort from the NHL. Another thing they're doing to, excuse me, it's just a good thing, really. Stumbling over myself there. But yeah, we'll talk about, you want to talk about what Edmonton and the Pittsburgh game?
Yeah, why not? Just quickly, we can go over it. I think all three games, it's pretty easy to say that all the teams look extremely rusty. That the first game, the Pittsburgh and Philly game, it looked a little slower than usual. I don't expect that to be the case. I imagine this is just rustiness, and that will come off as even the play-in round commences.
Mm-hmm. That Malkin turnover was...
Yeah. That was Cody Cece-esque.
Yeah. And then it was Travis Konechny's overtime goal, I think it was.
Yeah.
Was pretty sexy. It was a pretty sexy goal. Not Nathan McKinnon sexy, but it was a nice goal. Yeah. It was a pretty nice goal.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but I'm pretty sure Daniel's frozen again.
Oh no. Oh no. Dang it. What do we do?
We'll talk a little bit, see it, and then we'll figure it out.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. And I think, rustiness. I think some teams were more than others. I think Edmonton and Edmonton and Calgary. I watched the first period, and it's full. I tried to watch, but I don't know what happened. I can't stay up past 11:30 anymore.
Yeah.
They, especially McDavid and Draisaitl. Actually, that whole Draisaitl Yamamoto line did not look like they missed a step. There was
yeah.
We're going to talk about the team later. It looked very, very rusty, but there were some, and plus that Battle of Alberta game was so chippy. So many big hits. Cassian threw a nice one early. They hated each other, even though it was an exhibition game. And yay, Daniel's back! Yay!
Perfect.
Oh man. All right.
What do you think of the Battle of Alberta game where McDavid reminded us how good he was?
Yeah, those dangles. What was it around Travis Hamonic? Not Travis Hamonic. It was against Mark Giordano, where I'm like, all right, yeah, Connor's back. Oilers, I don't know. I was holding out for the Blackhawks to make a run. but I don't know.
I'm
I think
sorry.
Edmonton's more dialed in, more
Yeah.
structured.
Like, listen, and I know people keep making the argument about Colorado, Chicago, and Tays and K&M. Yes, that's a great argument. Number one, Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith, they look pretty good last night, and I hate those, and I don't think those guys are good goalies. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl will light the Chicago defense on fire. I'm sorry, Duncan Keith cannot do everything for you.
At 37.
Slater Cuckoo and Oli Mata, what are you going to do? Here's Connor McDavid. Here's Leon Draisaitl. Have fun. That's what's going to happen.
You don't believe in Colin Delia or Malcolm Subban?
I believe Crawford's back now.
He was practicing, yeah.
I know he tested positive, but that was a few weeks ago. I'd assume he's testing negative, and I think we lost Daniel again. But
gosh darn it! All right,
he'll join again.
Then I guess we'll maybe I should start talking about the Habs.
Do you want to listen? I don't have a lot to say about the Leafs. If you want me to get that done quickly,
but if we can get Daniel in, it's better to just have the Leafs conversation as a whole.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Unfortunately, we've just lost Daniel for the rest of the episode. Unfortunately, tweet at him your love and pray for his internet to get better. But anyways, yeah, we'll talk about, first of all, how funny was it that Carey Price and the Habs started going down the wrong way because they were the home team in the home dressing room.
Yeah, that was quite funny. I'm not entirely sure why they made it that way, but in terms of making them the home team and the Leafs the visitors, was there a particular reason you think they did that?
Well, think of it like this: the Leafs are going to have home ice advantage for. Against Columbus. Montreal doesn't have it against Pittsburgh, so I guess maybe they didn't want Montreal to not have a home game of last change until game 3.
Yeah.
Plus, you obviously just can't give Toronto their home thing for the whole playoffs. I get it, but and I might as well ask you this: how did it feel seeing your locker room filled with Habs stuff everywhere?
It was not good.
You didn't like it? It was a bit yucky. I know I was saying it looks better on Twitter, but even at the end, I was like, "No,
you're
this
trying to throw some jabs at Mike."
Yeah.
Let's just clear this up. How much trash did you send to Mike before?
You know what? He was actually getting kind of. He didn't text me for the first bit of the game. He texted me when Toronto had scored 1 and 2, but he was actually pretty good about it. Apparently he was streaming it, so he was kind of behind. So I spoiled him on 2 goals by accident.
Yeah.
But they were both Habs goals, but he wasn't that happy with me. So that was rough. Kind of like Montreal's performance. But how do you I don't even know how to start this. I'm so upset with that team. Do you want to go Leafs first? Or?
Yeah. I can go first. I think there's a couple tidbits I'd like to bring up. Pre-game wise, I was happy to see Robertson make the lineup in terms of, it's an exhibition game, and I think that's really what exhibition games are for. I think, yes, it's a warm-up game for the players, but the coaches might want to make some last-minute decisions, and that's going to be one of them in terms of, is he making the opening night roster, or not? And maybe I'll get into that a little bit later. The second one, I was kind of surprised not to see Rasmus Sandin make the roster. The exhibition game roster, just because why are you playing Martin Marincin?
Yeah, and each team had an extra forward and defenseman they could dress, and they still didn't put them in. It was weird.
It was very odd to me. Like, I understand you want to make Rasmus Sandin your 7th defenseman. At least you can try him with different people. That's one thing. But to make it Martin Marincin, Like is your expectation not to play Rasmus Sandin? Like, I'd understand, right? I don't agree with the choice to play Cody Ceci with Morgan Riley, but I'm also not for playing Rasmus Sandin with Morgan Riley at the moment, especially if you're not comfortable with Travis Dermott playing there, or having Travis Dermott play on the right and Tyson Barrie up. I don't know what Sheldon Keefe is thinking. Like, this could be the opening night roster, or he can make some changes. And knowing Keefe, I wouldn't be surprised if he made some changes. Now, in terms of the game, if I remove the rust, I didn't really mind that much of the game. I think Ilya Mikheyev, him being back, is a huge addition to this team, and it really solidifies that top six of Mikheyev, Tavares, Marner, and Hyman, Matthews, Nylander.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you that flexibility to have Nick Robertson playing third line minutes in a way, because you can have, like, it's just possible, right? With Janssen being out and Mikheyev back, like, I don't think if there was an opening in the top six, I don't think it's smart to put Robertson in there now.
No, especially if you're a different kind of team like a Montreal or Chicago, when maybe it would be better to have those younger guys in. But if you're the Leafs, who are expected to go on the run, it's better to not take a chance on your rookie and instead just kind of,
for sure,
ice the best team possible. What do you think of their penalty kill? Sure, you liked that.
It was surprisingly good. It seems that was one of the issues, I guess, throughout the year. But I don't know. I think the real test, and I mean no offense to this, and I think you'd agree with me, Montreal did not look like normal Montreal last night.
I think
right?
They did.
No, but yeah, okay, but they didn't look like a good team last night. I think we both agree on that, right? So I think the real test will come on Sunday night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And saying that, Frederik Andersen looked perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Right? I remember, like, I was saying this last episode or 2 episodes ago, there was I understand the media's trying to stir the pot here, but saying, oh, should we be worried about Freddie because he's getting lit up by the best players on the team? Leave it alone. Yeah. I get what you're doing. Take a step back, please.
It's plus, like, it was in practice. I don't know why you would make a big deal of that. Yeah. I mean, and even the goals he allowed, one was a wicked feed from Nick Suzuki.
Yeah.
Got him to go from one side to the other, but the chemistry and you got the give and go of Tatar, and that was right at the end of the penalty kill, right? That was right after Montreal's power play expired. The other was a Paul Byron, just a nice little bit of hand-eye from the Ottawa native.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like, Freddie came up and made the saves when he needed to, and that's all you ask of a goaltender.
Literally, that's what the team's asking for. In terms of Nick Robertson, if it's a matter of playing Freddie Gauthier or Nick Robertson, because I think that's what the decision's going to end up being, there's a part of me that wants to put Nick Robertson in because I don't know what Freddie Gauthier actually does for the team.
He is. I was going to say he's tall, but he doesn't use his size, does he?
He's not a. He's a big guy who doesn't use his size. If he proves me wrong, I'll say, hey, let's wait, because the issue I have with Nick Robertson is the same issue I had with Rasmus Sandin at the beginning of the year. He's a great player. He'll skate in there, right? He has a little bit of that Zach Hyman gene in him where he'll go into the corners and dig to get the puck. He's not as fast. He's not as strong as Zach Hyman, but at least he goes, and that's not an issue with him now. But because he's so much smaller, or he's smaller than a lot of players, and he's not filled into his body as much as he could be, that's an issue because he's going to get bodied in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Getting in the corners, and not even just the playoffs, I think regular season in general, right? So if it's I think even if it's a matter between Robertson and Gauthier, I think you put Robertson in just to get him that experience, whereas like Gauthier may play next year.
At least with Robertson, the first thing that you can say about him is that he's fighting for the spot.
Yeah.
And that's what you really want from your young guys. It's the message to those vets. I think they were talking about it one of the intermissions on the Sportsnet broadcast is if he fights for the spot, it either forces the guy he's trying to go after to improve, or guess what, the better player who, even if he doesn't have the size, Robertson has the skill. Yeah. It's going to force Sheldon Keefe to put him in, and that's the best thing. I mean, the greatest compliment you can give a player is that he's made a coach change his mind.
And I think,
unless he's bad, but Robertson's not in that case.
Right, and I think Robertson did that, and in one training and one practice day, he had Pierre Engvall out of the lineup. Right, and then last night, Sheldon Keefe had Pierre Engvall, and I think the day before at practice, he had Pierre Engvall at fourth line center, and I think him and Jason Spezza alternated, who was playing center. So I think Pierre Engvall was like, "Damn it, man! Like I got my spot back. You just signed a 2-year extension. Like, why do you need a spot on this team? Like
yeah."
And the last thing before we get to Montreal is I really like the effort the team put in last night in terms of a lot of the things I complain about is the team not caring, team slouching. And I really saw like from a guy like Matthews, who a lot of people complain about his back checking. I saw him back check multiple times last night, and the same would go with William Nylander.
Mm-hmm.
So from that point of view, I really hope that the team continues, especially against Columbus, because that's what's going to set the team apart. It's great that the team has skill, but when it comes down to it and you get into the nitty-gritty with a team like Columbus, a team like Boston, a team like Tampa, it's great that you have skill, but play not necessarily the system, but play like you care.
Yeah.
And I think the team last night did that.
Yeah. What did you think of Anthony Stewart when he said that? I think Friedman mentioned the fact of Elliott was like, yeah, you put Robertson in, but then Stewie was saying, well, he doesn't have this. I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have it in front of me. That he would put either Freddie the Goat or Pierre Engvall in for their size. And side note, this is also Anthony Stewart who said that 6'2" Jesperi Kotkaniemi was a small guy. Sorry, go on.
It's the issue I have is I don't mind, I do a little bit, having Freddie Gauthier in the lineup. But I've seen it a couple times. Like the first game of the year, that guy came out blasting Freddie Gauthier. But as the year went on, it's like it just trickled away. Prove it to me that you can use your size to your advantage. Throw your body around. I'm not asking him to score 20 goals. I'm asking him to throw his body around, get the puck, and get it to someone like Jason Spezza, because Jason Spezza can move the frickin' puck. Get it to Pierre Engvall. I don't care. Just someone who can put the puck on net. I'm not expecting him to score. I'm expecting him to get the puck and get it to players who can move it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because your next options, if you're not putting Robertson in and you don't like Freddie Gauthier, it's Nick Patan and Dennis Malgin.
Malgin, the guy we all forget is a Leaf.
And I'd rather have Nick Robertson take some playoff games over those two.
I think that's fair. Anything else you'd like to mention from the blue and white?
No, let's talk about Montreal. I know you have a lot to say. I have a couple questions.
First of all, what a messy start of a game for Shea Weber. Man, I get excited when I see him wind up for a one-timer, but that whiff at the start of the game was a sign of things to come. We say that Montreal looked bad. They did. They very much, to me, looked like a 24th place team who hasn't played hockey for a few months. Right. But at the same time, nothing changed. A power play that went 0 for 5. 2 short-handed goals against. That's half of the goals the Leafs scored. One of which was less than 30 seconds ago, so a last-minute goal against in the period. And a bunch of odd-man rushes that resulted in a few goals. So Nothing changed. The 2019-2020 Montreal Canadiens picked up right where they left off.
Yeah.
And if they play like this, they have a fantastic chance of getting that 1-8 shot at Alexis Lafreniere.
It seems like we're having the same type of discussions we were having back when the team went, I don't want to bring this up, but I feel bad. I got to do it. When the team was on the 8-game losing streak.
Which one?
Both of them.
It's
Right.
just, I was so excited. Like that last half an hour before the pre-show started, I felt that hockey, it hit me.
Yeah.
And then
But
by
you
the end of the
texted me.
first.
You texted me multiple times telling me how nervous you were.
Yeah. And then it just, they completely let me down again. Did that team. I think I went to friends of mine, yourself included, my family, saying they were a bunch of losers multiple times because I was so upset that you put in. I understand it's an exhibition. But you look at, we talked a little bit about how well Edmonton were playing. Calgary, there was a fight in the Panthers-Tampa game. McKinnon just blasted down and threw one right by the Wild. And Montreal put in that performance. Like, I don't care if you're one of the last group of, like, Shea Weber, lest we forget. I think it was last season, came back after he hadn't played hockey in months and was dynamite. And he comes back from this pause, and I get you're not skating in that, but dude, you're coming back from like knee surgery, and you were looking better than this. It's so embarrassing. And honestly, there was the like Sportsnet media member poll and predictions of Pittsburgh versus Montreal. No one had Montreal. I think Carolyn Cameron, Justin Bourne, they all had Chris Johnson had Montreal getting swept. And I believe it at this point.
Even I feel like discussions we were having before, in my opinion, a lot of things had to go right for Montreal to get to beat the Penguins. Like, does that poll come as a surprise?
Man, I had all the faith in this team because I thought, man, you're healthy. You were a good team when you were healthy, and since Suzuki's got all this experience. And then it just – all the goodwill I have for them is now gone because of one game. I may be overreacting. Was it a surprise to me? Yes, because I thought they were going to be better. I really thought so. Right. And then there was a day made clear when Cole Julian in practice made it clear he was working on special teams. And I understand that also, like, playing against an opposing team is much different, but it really looks like they haven't changed anything. I don't know what Kirk Muller is doing on the power play.
Do you have Kirk Muller's number?
I wish I did.
Because I'd just like to make a suggestion. I hear the drop pass is a phenomenal strategy to exit the zone.
Any sort of entry strategy would work. How about not just throwing it around so Shea Weber's open?
Right.
For the love of God, change something. Can we have Paul McFarland? Can we trade?
Well, I believe he's going to be the head coach, which to me still seems weird that he's going to be the head coach of the Kingston Frontenacs next year, and he's still on the bench. I don't know. Just seems a little odd to me, but that's a separate issue. Now, okay, we talked about you talked about the special teams being bad. Was there anyone that stood out to you last night?
See, there were a few people. Nick Suzuki is beautiful. I love him. That's a guy who can really turn into your cornerstone on the power play that they have missed since the days of Andrei Markov. He had a bit of a rough time around, I think it was the third goal. But Victor Mete, I thought, looked very responsible. And Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
Yeah,
considering where he was when he got sent down earlier in the season, a real big step up. And the fourth goal for Price, I thought he maybe try and stop that rebound. But beside that, I thought they really didn't give him support. But unfortunately, with Price, he has to be better for them to stand a chance. But I think he could have been worse. But like the first period, it should have been more than 2-0. I think he made some key saves.
Oh, for sure. One guy that you didn't actually bring up, but we've talked about multiple times on the podcast is Max Domi, and was on the fourth line to start last night, and
Yes.
I felt like I didn't see him.
See, it's funny you mention that. I have a tweet right here. So when it came to minutes for forwards, guess which forward led in ice time?
I'd imagine Philip Deneau.
Nick Suzuki.
Okay, that would be
Guess who was second? 18-29.
Was it Max Domi?
It was Max Domi.
But
I didn't notice him.
Right. Yeah, neither did I. Like, he felt invisible to me, and I don't know. It's not a. I'm not trying to trash the guy. It's just like I noticed Jesperi Kotkaniemi multiple times. I noticed Nick Suzuki almost every time he was on the ice. I noticed when Shea Weber was on the ice. I did not notice when even Drouin. Like, I feel like I didn't even notice Drouin was on the ice.
See, Joe had a good first period, and he disappeared. Like he was trying his damnedest to start that game, and then he just disappeared, which was very disappointing.
Yeah.
Because he is another guy who I have defended all year. That is a guy that needs to have a big performance as well. But yeah, Domi, going back to Max.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and our pump boss, who Marc-Antoine Godin from the Athletic Montreal, we're doing a question period today, and they were saying really like Montreal's best asset to try and get that top four defenseman, that left-handed guy that we have talked about many a time. The best asset to do that with is Max Domi.
I was going to say, I don't want to start trade rumors.
I've said that he's found himself to be the odd man out, especially if Jesperi can continue to perform.
Right.
Maybe you sign Craig Smith to play on the wing, or maybe even I really don't think if Max Domi disappoints against the Pens, and I don't normally like thinking about trading players. It's just not how I'm kind of wired.
Yeah.
Acquiring, yes, but like Montreal actually dealing guys that aren't like UFAs and that, I don't really think about it. But I really do think Max Domi has become an asset.
Yeah, I don't want to start trade rumors on the show. Even though we love doing that, but
yes,
that would definitely be a guy who I'd have to imagine is Marc Bergevin has to be looking at saying, hey,
I mean, Peter Chiarelli, if he does get hired, and that left-handed Oliver Ekman-Larsson,
no way,
I'll take him.
Please God,
Chicker in, I'll take him.
Chicker. Now, I have one more question.
Sure.
I might have another one, but
sure.
I look at what's going on with Robertson, and I'm not comparing these two players because I don't want to get into that debate. But I can't get in the debate with you right now.
All right.
But I look at the situations they're in, and are they NHL ready? I don't know, but you could probably answer that about Caulfield. I can probably answer that about Robertson.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think Marc Bergevin at all regrets not signing Cole Caulfield to a contract? Because I believe if he did, it would have counted for this year, and he would have been able to play. Because I know in the past, Makar signed a contract. Hughes signed his contract at the end of the year, played a few regular season games, and then played in the playoffs with Makar.
I think he would have, yeah.
Right?
Do I think he regrets it? No.
You don't think so?
Because we heard about how upset the team were that they were in the spot to begin with. And, I mean, for him to play meaningful minutes, the kind of Sandin situation, all of Montreal's key players would have had, not even had the chance. I mean, Domi may have to play wing if he wants to get into the top six. Plus, at the end of the day, I really do think it's the best for him to go. I think they really do look at his development and the problems they've had developing first-round or players, honestly, before, this new, the past 3 years they've been better, but before that, De La Roche, Sherbak, Tenardi, all of these players, I think they really don't regret rushing Caulfield or bringing him into this, because who knows how he would have performed. But, I mean, there are a lot of experts and hockey people who I respect and trust with these opinions saying it was the right decision. So I don't think so, no, because let's be honest, they're not going to go on a run.
No.
And I don't think he would have. Would he have been a great shot to maybe have a chance on the power play? Maybe, but that means him being utilized properly on the power play, which no other player is on this team. So
Right.
Except Shea Weber, because it's just give him the buck.
I think, the interesting thing with Caulfield is I think he has the advantage he has over Robertson in terms of development is he has the option of going to the AHL next year.
Yes. Yeah.
And the fact, and it boggles my mind that there's no rule on this, but like it's either you play in the NHL or you go to the CHL, and it just kind of seems really stupid that that's the case with the CHL. Like what is Robertson? And I want to bring it back to Leafs, but what the hell is Robertson supposed to do after scoring 55 goals?
Yeah, it was the same with Suzuki. He had a wicked year, and he had to go back to the O. I wonder if I'm sure it's an OHL, a CHL thing because
it definitely is.
Because remember when I think it was because Columbus obviously had all the injuries in the world. I think it was Liam Foudy who got called up for the emergency game, but he had to be back for the next game that his team had.
Yeah,
because I'm sure it's like the CHL, and we know the problems they have.
It was emergency call up.
Yeah,
that's why.
And like they don't want their players because it's so weird in the CHL because when those teams go all in or they sell, they go all in and sell. And the worst thing you want is to lose those players or to have them go up and down between so what you mean is I think if they're eligible, the CHL want to hold on to those players.
Yeah, that's if I'm the Leafs, and I think they got lucky with Rasmus Sandin in that, hey, he is technically a Swedish prospect.
Yes.
And that they could send him down to the AHL instead of sending him back to Sault Ste. Marie.
Yes.
But with Robertson, they don't have that luxury. So they're gonna send him back to Peterborough, and he's gonna do what? Like, what's an improvement over a goal a game?
Nothing.
Like it's not going to stunt his development. Like I'm not saying that. I just don't think it makes that agreement makes sense. But that's a separate that's a separate topic.
Yeah.
In terms of and I know you've brought him up, but in terms of price, was he on par? Was he below par? Was he above par? What was Price's performance?
I'm gonna give it a B minus. Because for a normal goalie, I think he was fine because of what just the team in front of him allowed. But because it is Carey Price, unfortunately, he has to be better. Again, I don't blame him on that performance at all. I mean, he wanted to get pulled so they could get the goal back. I love him, but the team just in front, it was fine. It wasn't anything special. And it has to be special, simply put.
Based on that performance, what will the series against Pittsburgh be?
A 1-8 shot for the Habs to get Lafreniere.
There's no chance.
No
chance.
No.
Do you think there's anything? And I doubt the players would even follow this, but do you think there's anything from above Claude Julien saying, hey, like we don't want to be in terms of Marc Bergevin saying, hey, we don't want to be here, let's just back off?
I think from the big guys, absolutely not. I think from the younger guys, I would sure as hell hope not because you see Jesper's fighting to get his spot back. I really hope there isn't. But, I mean, let's be honest, Alex. If you've seen a professor say whatever to something on a piece of work, Are you going to – if they're like, oh, we're not going to be as harsh on this assignment, are you putting 100% to that assignment?
No.
No. In 104 in Sally's class, did you give all your effort into those? No, because we knew we were going to get 85s if we didn't try. Stop
it. Could get us in trouble on the podcast. We're not even in our class anymore.
I'm just saying, like.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
It's standards, and if the team at the end of the are these guys like Price and Weber are never going to give up, right? But everyone else, if your management's not going to be full, let's go here, then I don't know how you're the leaders, in some way, shape, or form. And if you're a leader, well, what's the definition of leadership? Influencing human behavior in the manner so desired by the leader as to accomplish a task. Don't ask how I know that. Yeah, great way to influence everything. That performance was a great example of Habs leadership.
If that's the case, it has to leave a sour taste in players' mouths. Like when the report came out that there was an issue between the PA and Montreal, and then it came out, Elliot reported that it's probably has something to do with their involvement in the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
It has to leave a sour taste in players' mouths, because Paul Byron, who is their representative in the PA, voted yes.
Yep.
So I don't like. I understand the fan sentiment that, hey, let's lose because we can get Alexis Lafreniere, but as a team, it has to leave as management, it has to leave a sour taste in your mouth. It has to leave a sour taste in the players' mouths, knowing that that's what management wants.
Man, I have been sick, and after this game, I feel even worse. So if I feel this sick after that game, I sure as hell hope those guys feel as crappy as I do. Again, is it a single exhibition game? Normally I wouldn't fret, but in the current circumstance, aka circumstances that we've never seen before and might never see again, I think there's very much cause for concern.
Yeah.
I think that's everything then.
Yeah, I don't have any more questions.
I think that was a really good episode, Alex.
I think so, with the exception of Daniel cutting in and out. But
yeah, that's a shame. But he'll be back stronger than ever, like a phoenix from the ashes.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Alex, but I am definitely going to start watching this Colorado game. And then, who's playing at 4:00?
I believe, I want to say it's the Rangers, but I might be wrong.
Well, I have it up here. The Rangers are at 8. It is. Oh, but it's Carolina, Washington.
Ooh.
I'll be watching that. Just watch Ovi again. I've missed him. Then it's Chicago, St. Louis, 6:30, and then Winnipeg, Vancouver at 10:30. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and for bearing through the technical difficulties. If you enjoyed the show, there's so many ways you can support it. Check out the Facebook and Instagram page for the show, link in description. Get the hockey discussion going. What did we read? Like 100 likes on it and then 300 on the Instagram?
I believe
like
we're
that?
300. Yeah, I believe so.
We're growing and getting ever closer to 100 episodes. And you can check a lot of video versions of those episodes and this one as well on the YouTube channel. While you're there, check out my YouTube channel. A series preview versus the Penguins is coming soon. Be sure to check out both Alex, Daniel, and I's social media. That will all be in the description below as well. I think that. Oh, thank you for Voice Ed, as always, for being a great platform for the show. We love you very much, and we love the listeners as well. I think that's everything, Alex.